of CXCY, brought to you by our friends at ClueTrack. My name is Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker, and I will be your host as we dive deep into yet another industry to see what consumers are saying online across thousands and thousands of reviews. We're going to do the analysis, we're going to dig so that you don't have to, and we're going to come up with takeaways that will apply to any business, no matter what industry you're in. I'm so excited to have here today our guest. It is Neil Barrie. He is the Director of Customer Experience for a company called Rudis. Neil, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, we are very excited to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about you and also about the company?
Yeah, so I'm, as you said, Director of Customer Experience for Rudis. Rudis is a wrestling-focused sportswear brand. We started up in 2013. Our goal really is to make the premier wrestling products, and I think we're killing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's a good thing that you're a sportswear company, because that's our topic for today. And we always try to bring in experts in the field. So I know we're going to have some fun talking to somebody who lives and breathes sportswear every day. So without further ado, let's go to the data. ClueTrack looked at more than 32,000 online reviews of 22 different sportswear companies. Now, we looked at both upperwear and bottomwear just to separate this massive category a little bit. But we're talking about tons and tons of reviews. And of course, that's one of the things that ClueTrack does best, is take all of this massive amount of data and distill it down into takeaways that we all can use for our business. All right, Neil. So the top 5 category drivers for the sportswear industry. These are the things that influence U.S. consumer buying behavior when they decide to buy sports apparel. Now, I have put these 5 things in alphabetical order for you. They are color, looks and style, material and fabric, quality, and size and fit. Now, what we're looking for here today, and there are no wrong answers, is what do you think is the top, or maybe the top 2 category drivers that influence purchase decisions? And again, this is going to be based on what we're extracting from 32,000 online reviews. What do you think is most important?
I'm going to go with size and fit first, followed by quality. Just a guess there.
Okay, and where do you tell me how you came up with the guess?
Well, I think, when you're dealing with sportswear brands, size and fit is a huge issue. Whether you're talking about shoes or pants or shirts, people are very particular about how these things fit, and I think that's a big driver for feedback. Quality, of course, is I think, well, perhaps not the biggest contact driver or review driver. It's when someone gets a product that fails them. It's a really big issue for them, and it's going to drive them to post a review, I think.
As you were talking about size and fit, I kind of had an aha moment, because I realized we are talking about sportswear. So people are moving around in this clothing. So of course it's got to fit right. Otherwise, it's not going to be a particularly comfortable purchase. Let's see how Neil did on our first little quiz here. Indeed, size and fit was number 1. Good job. Awesome. This is why we bring the experts on the show. Quality actually did not come up nearly as high, which I do think is interesting, because you would think, certainly even as a source of negative reviews, that the quality issue would come up. One reason for that could be that there wasn't as much quantity of quality issues, which would be a good thing for the industry. But yes, size and fit. Great job. So let's move on and dig a little deeper here. So this is a look at the difference between tops and bottoms, between upperwear and bottomwear. And what we found was they're almost identical, with the one change being that upperwear color rises up really high. It's number 4 on the list. And on the bottom, it becomes more about comfort. Tell me whether that is surprising or new to you.
Color is surprising. I would have thought that you can pick your color off the rack. Not a whole lot of reason to be disappointed in that, I would think. I guess a lot of people are probably shopping online, and maybe color variations differ a little bit. Maybe that would be a driver for that one. Bottoms comfort, I can completely understand that. I think as you're moving, whatever the sport may be, it needs to be comfortable. It needs to be smooth. It needs to move with you. So I can definitely understand that being a big driver.
Yeah, it almost feels like comfort could fit alongside size and fit, right? Because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
fits, that's
definitely.
one thing, it's my size, but I also want it to be comfortable. I want to not even necessarily know that it's there all the time, right? So I think that it's a
Exactly. It's got to move in the direction you're moving.
exact, yeah, well said, well said. Okay, so now we started to look into other issues within tops and bottoms. And the way that we look at this is the darker green means that of the comments in reviews, there is the most amount of positivity. And then the darker red, there's the most amount of negativity. And the shaded ones are a little bit less. But what we try to do is compare and see either whether we're finding trends across both upper and bottom, or whether there are differences that might stick out. So a couple things that came up. There was a negative experience on usage, and again, I think this is exactly what you just said around. Um, uh, in particular, the reviews were saying maybe not suitable for daily wear, but it feels like this comes down to comfort again. And is it moving with when I'm moving, that sort of a thing, versus does it just look good? Because we saw other things about color and style and all that. And looking good only gets you so far if you can't use it every day. Does that strike? Is that a fair analysis, you think?
No, I think that's absolutely spot on. It's not fashion, right? I mean, every athletic line of apparel goes for that fashion, for that look also, but comfort and usability is the key. If it's not going to work for your sport, it's just not going to work. It's not going to be effective. It's not comfortable. It's not performance material. It's not going to be successful.
And then the other negative things that popped up that were different were on the upper side, we had a lot of people talking about compression. And then the bottom side, we had a lot of people talking about body type. Can you talk to us a little bit? I'm not even sure I understand what compression is. And I'd also be interested to know why body type shows up much more on the bottom than on the top.
Interesting. So, compression is that really snug fit that you see often in the gym or on football players. The underneath gear that they wear, really really tight form fitting shirts and pants, and those can be performance enhancing to a bit. They help give you stability. I think it's not a great look, honestly. I mean, it's from a fashion perspective, you're not leaving much to the imagination there. So I think it goes better underneath. Body type, that's interesting for bottoms. I think again, going back to if you're wearing a lot of snug fit clothes, if an individual is choosing that, their body type is probably going to play a role. A lot of folks aren't going to be comfortable in that type of outfit. It's not certainly not something I would like to wear.
Yeah.
Even to the gym, I would feel self conscious. So I think even folks with very athletic figures probably would could feel the same way.
Yeah, I think that is definitely true. I think there are definitely items of clothing. I can speak as a male where you don't want it to be super tight in certain places. Um,
Exactly.
and I
Yes.
think there are others, both male and female, that maybe either want to accentuate or hide their derrieres. And so that may come up in body type, I think, as well. All right, let's move
Absolutely.
on because this data, I think, continues to be very interesting. We did take a look at gender. And what we saw was, again, some of the same things popping up. But most distinctly, we found that quality was a major issue for men, and color and comfort were major issues for women. Again, this is across 32,000 reviews and 22 brands. So, we would have to continue to dig deeper, even down into the SKU level, to really start to figure out what's going on here. But is there anything that you've seen in your experience or research that goes along with or contradicts that men are maybe driven a little bit more towards quality, where women are driven a little bit more towards color and comfort?
I would take a guess, and I haven't seen this personally, so really is just a guess. I think the quality driver for men, um, they want performance, and I think women do too. I don't want to create a delineation between men and women, and I think really, if you dig deeper into that, maybe quality and the fit and performance that the women chose are really driving towards the same answer. It's just um, the difference in how a male might answer the question versus a female.
Yeah, I think that's true. I know I can only speak for me and not any broader, but I don't do a whole lot of shopping. And so when I buy something, I want it to last and I want it to be really high quality. So that's important to me. Um, I'm not sure that that matches anybody else. It just happens to be my experience. And so that sort of made some amount of sense. But that being said, I think, everybody cares about color, and everybody cares about comfort,
Oh,
certainly. And
absolutely,
while I think you
absolutely.
could, I sort of agree with you that you could grab a color off the rack. Sometimes I go look at the rack and there's some really strange colors there. So,
Well, those are the ones that you avoid. But
right.
yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's, men and women are going to be very, very specific about the colors, and everybody's going to have, a style that they want to go with, and the color needs to speak to that. The fit needs to speak to that. Hopefully, the overarching is going to be the quality and the comfort.
Absolutely. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so this is an example of where ClueTrack can dig even deeper, because we moved into all of the other drivers, so not just the top drivers, but what are the things that pop that are different between men and women? Now, why is this important? Well, because depending on who you're marketing to, you may want to accentuate certain qualities of your product, or you may want to shy away from certain elements of your product if they're not going to be quite as appealing. Now, one thing that absolutely rang true for me is the idea of pockets, because I cannot wear anything that doesn't have a pocket. I carry a wallet and a phone, and I don't know where to put it if I don't have it. So I thought it was kind of humorous that pockets showed up higher for men for sure. There's that compression again. And for women, some of the things that showed up involved the purchase experience. And I think you were right in surmising that a lot of this might be online purchases. We have purchase experience and shipping and delivery that came up way more often with women, and unfortunately, not in a positive way. The pockets for men came up in a positive way, which was great. Any of these items here either surprising to you, or you say, hey, I'd really love to learn more about that, or something that is that you look at and you're like, yeah, that totally gels with my experience.
No, I think pockets is spot on. When I go for a run, I am always frustrated with my options, whether it's, even if I have pockets on my running shorts, I put it in a pocket, and that phone and keys and wallet are just flapping all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the women's industry has solved this. The women's wear the tighter compression pants and shorts, or yoga pants and shorts, and they've got a little pocket in the side on the thigh on a lot of those that women can slip their phone into and never even notice it. Um, the men's industry has not solved this yet. And believe me, I'm talking to Rudis about that too. I think there's a big opportunity there.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of knowing your customer, right? And the fact that even if you were not a customer of wrestling shorts, you understand that people who buy shorts have phones, right? Because
Absolutely,
you are a
absolutely.
person who buys shorts and who has a phone. And so this is why I sometimes say customer experience doesn't have to be as difficult as we make it to be. Sometimes it's just about paying attention to the world around us, paying attention to the things that we know to be true. I don't run anymore, but when I did, I always had to hold my phone because you couldn't put it
Hmm.
anywhere, or it bounced around, or worse, sometimes it would bounce out of the pocket and end up on the ground,
Yes, that's
you know.
happened.
And so I know this is an issue. So while I'm not in the industry, if I were working in this industry, I could take my own experience and put it towards trying to develop a better customer experience. So I'm glad that you saw that as well. So one of the things that came up that I thought was super fascinating, we were looking at these reviews last year. So this is 2022 data. Keep that in mind as you're looking at it. We wanted to look at just the quantity of reviews based on price, based on how much the item cost. And as you can see in both of these charts, there is a huge jump in the under $50 category, which was the lowest priced category that we segmented out. And then also moving up is the 51 to 99, whereas the higher price stuff stayed almost the same. So again, this is driven by reviews, which we assume is driven by purchase behavior, more purchases, more reviews. But is there anything, Neil, that you're seeing in the industry, understanding that you are more of a specialty company, so this, you may not be
Mhm.
seeing this as much in your specific company, but is there anything that you're seeing that would gel with the fact that all of a sudden there is a lot more activity going on at the lower prices?
Well, I think a lot of specialty brands and really high end brands have surfaced and are charging insane amounts of money. I don't, I'm not disparaging the product, but I think that's driving folks into, you don't need a $100 pair of gym shorts, honestly. And so that's gonna drive purchasers down into some of these lower end. I don't want to call them lower quality because I think some of these brands are excellent quality. But I think, and when you spend more money, you're going to have much higher expectations. But if
Yeah.
you're spending that the fewer dollars, not necessarily for a lower quality item, but I think there's more volume there, thus more reviews, and I hopefully on the positive side.
Yeah, I hear you on the $100 pair of shorts. True story. My teenage daughter wanted me to get my teenage son one of these pairs of shorts that I'm not going to name the brand, but what I will say is that I think it started off more as a women's brand, and men
Yes.
have gotten into it. And so we knew that he would like it in the sense that he likes expensive things and he likes
Hmm.
big brand names, and that's important to him. But I'll tell you, every time he wears the shorts, my daughter will say, like, "Hey, do you like them?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're all right." I'm like, "Oh, I want them to be better than all right for what I paid for those."
Yes, you have to love them and want to sleep in them and wear them all day long for that price point.
Yes, exactly. That's funny. All right. All right, Neil. So once again, we wanted to dig a little bit deeper and take a deeper look into price. So we divided it into three different price categories this time: under 50, between 50 and 100, and then 100 plus. And we were looking again at what are the similarities and what are the differences. Now, the way to look at this is that the blue line there tells you the volume of reviews, and again, the colors tell you the relative strength of the positivity or the negativity. And then they're ranked here in order of quantity. So we can look at this a number of different ways. We can see, well, are people talking about different things at different price points? And we can also say, when are they talking about the same thing but in a different way? Maybe it's positive in one and it's negative in another. I thought one thing that was fascinating was the under $50, the least expensive ones got the highest ratings for comfort. Surprising?
It's not. I think again, athletic wear. It's not hard to make a comfortable pair of shorts or a comfortable T-shirt, and then the expectation is lower on that lower end price. I think when you pay $100 again, you have very high expectations, and when those products don't meet your expectations, you're going to let folks know. I think when you go into the lower price points there, and people are less inclined to complain, even if they aren't perfect.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is exactly right. As you spend more, you have higher expectations. And even if you don't really understand how to analyze this chart, all you got to see is that as you move up the price ladder, there's more and more red. And that's people complaining, right? And that's people saying that something didn't work. So for the 51 to 99, it was the purchase experience and the usage. For above 100, size and fit ended up really kind of almost dead even, 49% positivity. That's not great. And then it had negativity around sporting activities. So is it right for the activity that I'm using it for? Purchase experience and usage. So I think that's absolutely spot on. And this is something that we can take away in lots of industries, is that as people spend more, the expectations of everything go up. And I think that's fair, right? If we're going to part with more money, we expect the overall product and experience to be better.
The brands have to deliver on that. You can't take the same pair of shorts at the lower price point, slap your brand on it and call it good. They have to deliver a superior product. If they're gonna advertise it, if they're gonna charge that price, it's got to be better, and it's got to be better noticeably.
Absolutely. And I think, speaking of, we didn't even talk that much about brand name, but I do think that becomes an element as well. When you find that pair of shorts that really fits you well and that you like, you go back to the store. What do? Look for that same brand, because you already know, and you have the confidence that the size, the fit, and everything, works the way that you want it to. So I think that does become a really important factor, especially in repeat purchases. All right. So we mentioned takeaways. Let's look at some takeaways that apply to all companies. That doesn't matter what brand you work for or industry. We know that most people watching here are not in the sportswear industry, and that's okay. We can still learn from this industry. Number one, dig deeper into multiple aspects of customer experience to identify product improvements. As we took a look and sliced and diced both by gender and by price, we saw different things come up. So it is, if you'll excuse the pun, not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? There may be different things that we have to do for different types of customers, which gets us to number two, understanding the differences in your audience, both who they are and how they use your product, and the needs associated with that. And finally, price versus value. High price does not ensure high customer experience. In fact, it suggests that customers may have higher expectations. And if you're going to sell higher priced items, you need to be ready for that. All right, Neil, did we miss anything in terms of takeaways or anything from your industry that you'd like us to know?
I think the key really is delivering on your model, right? If you're a high end brand, you got to sell a high end product, and it has to be a high end experience from the time of discovery all the way through the purchase and support of that product. If there's a return or a flaw in the product and you're a high end brand, you've got to solve that problem right away. And as I'm sure you've talked about, when you do that, you create loyal customers. When you take an issue and you solve it for that problem as simply and quickly and effectively as you can, you create a brand experience on that, and that's the game changer, I think.
And you guys have done that so well. Neil Barrie, Director of Customer Experience for Rudis. It is a wrestling sportswear company. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the wrestling sportswear company. Thanks in part to, I'm sure, your work in leading the customer experience, Neil. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. It's been a really interesting conversation, and a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Dan. I had a great time. Appreciate it.
And thanks to our friends at ClueTrack for providing all of the data for today's episode. If you'd like to learn more about them, please check out their website at cluetrack.com. That's CLOOTRACK.com. For Clue Track and for the CXCY show, my name is Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker, and we will see you next time when we dig into yet another industry on CXCY.